Hey guys, it's Chris Cease with Not the Rule of Fly Fishing. Today I'm going to show you how to tie a fly I call the Buffalo Soldier, which is essentially an easier version of a half and half with a little bit more flash in it and a little bit thicker body. It's a great fly for smallmouth bass and freshwater applications, largemouth bass. I haven't thrown it at trout, but I'm sure they would eat it. And it's a great fly for stripers, redfish, sea trout, just about anything you throw clousers for in the salt. It can be tied in just about any color. This color I'm just doing for a redfishy, shrimpy looking application. But I'll show you how to tie this thing and you guys can substitute the colors as need be. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with a, this is a Mustad 34007 in a size 1. You can use pretty much any standard saltwater hook that you would like for this fly. I'm going to go ahead and tie medium dumbbell eyes on to get things started just like you would a clouser or a half and half. So I'm going to go ahead and get my thread on. Go ahead and leave some space here towards the front because just like any clouser half and half, you are going to tie materials on towards the front in front of the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and crank these eyes on, going from both ways and then figure eighting. Find this is the best way to get these eyes to stay in place by really putting a lot of tension on and then figure eighting after wrapping on from both sides. Finally, what I will do, make sure it looks good. After wrapping this thread all the way down is I'm going to take my brushable crazy super glue, which I use for a lot of different applications in tying flies to toughen up the flies, make them last longer. Just go ahead and just brush over the thread wraps on these eyes. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and take some craft fur. I've got this cool looking orange color here. I'm going to go ahead and get a pretty thick amount and clip that off. There we go. Craft fur does have under fur in it, so I'm going to pull a lot of that stuff out. It's going in the trash can. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and tie in this tail. This tail can be about as long as you want it to be. I'm going to go about 2 times the length of the hook shank. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in. And you can actually wrap the butts all the way down to the eyes to get a nice, even, smooth body because we are going to be wrapping an actual body onto this. You can trim off this little bit of mess there or just fold it back, wrap down. It's all going to get wrapped under again. That's a pretty good amount there on the tail. Sometimes I like to make them a little thicker. It really does not matter, but personal preference, obviously each his own. If you want, you can add bars to the tail. Here I'll go ahead and add some bars just for fun. Go ahead and do a little bit of purple. Give it kind of a shrimpy look. And I like to pull tight on this material and then just run the marker on it. If you want to get really cool with it, you can do 2-tone. So here's a little bit of red actually as well. So it's got a 2-tone purple and red look. Definitely makes it look really shrimpy. So once you've got that tied in, you got the bars on there, how you like it. We're going to go ahead and get out our UV Polar chenille in copper or whatever color, because you can tie this fly in a million different colors. This stuff is really cool stuff. And this gives it this flash kind of on the side like a bait fish that's moving, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and tie the end in right there at the tie-in point. Wrap all the way to the back of the eyes. And then, since I like my flies tough, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of super glue, this brushable super glue, down on it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap. And make sure you pull these fibers back so they flow back and don't get stuck underneath. Here you go all the way right up behind the eyes. We are going to tie off right there. Clip. And when that thing flows through the water, once we get the body on it, or the other two pieces of material, it's going to have that side flash to it, like when you see a bait fish spin through the water. So what I'm using here is actually finished raccoon. You can use Arctic fox. You can use a lot of different kind of soft materials. I'm just doing this one in yellow just because I want to make this bright, so it's something I can use down in like Louisiana and stained water. And this is going to be the bottom of the fly. We're going to tie this in clouser style. So you can go ahead and clip the material off. Again, this is finished raccoon. I love how it moves in the water. I'm going to do lighter on the bottom of the fly, which of course is you're tying it in on top of the hook shank. It's going to go a little bit past that UV copper chenille, excuse me, the UV polar chenille in copper color. Get a couple good wraps cinched down here on the bottom of the fly, and then of course move forward like you would a clouser if you were tying in bucktail. Wrap down. Get her tight. Go ahead and trim off. Wrap it down. I'm going to flip over, and of course this fly is named the Buffalo Soldier because I originally tied it with buffalo hair. So I'm going to do it with this one with some buffalo hair. This is a dark brown, almost black. They'll look kind of cool on this shrimpy, bait fishy looking fly. This is some really crazy hair, and it's not easy to find. I was lucky to find a guy who will supply it for me out of Montana. So let me get a chunk of it. Okay. Again, you could use just the finished raccoon on top, or Arctic fox, or anything else that's soft, even bucktail if you wanted to. I've got the version of this, I call it chicken on a chain clouser, that's I use with bucktail, just for a little tougher fly for stripers up in the Chesapeake Bay where I guy a lot of. So this is going to go a little bit longer. Again, the material on top than the chenille that's been wrapped around there. It's got that cool dark color. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it down. Nice and tight, tie in. And I'm going to go ahead and clip this off. I don't know why that hook is moving in the vise. I didn't probably put it in. There we go. Wrap the butts down. If you wanted to add a weed guard post, you could. I don't really tie this fly with a weed guard. You go ahead and I'll whip finish off. Oh, if I don't botch it. Okay. Proper whip finish done there. Clip off. And I again like to use this crazy glue for a lot of different things, namely one of them being finishing off the heads of some of these flies. You could also use like Loon, clear cure goo, a lot of those things. This UV that works really well. This stuff is kind of easy for me to use. So there you go. You've got the Buffalo Soldier, which shows that flash there on the side. Good little bait fish as well as shrimpy looking pattern for redfish, sea trout, and the like in saltwater. And it also works in freshwater if you tie it on a freshwater hook. Smallmouth bass absolutely love this thing as well. Thanks for watching.